He had worked a long, grueling week, just closed the laptop, just sent the final email, and now it was time to unwind. The sun was falling behind the treetops. The sky glowed a soft amber. He poured himself a glass of iced tea, grabbed a towel, and walked barefoot out to his backyard. His oasis, his escape, his pool. A breeze kissed his face. His feet dipped into cool water. He exhaled. He was home, safe. Or so he thought. Because what happened next changed everything. Tires crunched on gravel. A shadow moved beyond the fence. A voice, firm, unfamiliar, called out. "Excuse me, sir, what are you doing here?" He turned. Two white officers stood at the gate, hands on holsters, eyes already judging, already deciding. He said calmly, "This is my house." They didn't believe him. And that's where this story begins. The man's name was Darnell Reeves, a 34-year-old father of two, software developer, quiet, disciplined, private. He'd saved for years to buy this house, a modest but beautiful property in a suburban neighborhood just outside Atlanta. He had lived there for 5 years. No complaints, no incidents, no crime until that day. He saw the two officers unlock the gate and step onto his property without permission. "We got a call about a suspicious person in the yard," one of them said. "A suspicious person. In my backyard, that person is me. This is my property," Darnell replied. "Can we see some ID?" "Not unless you tell me why you think I don't belong here." Tension sparked. The officers began circling, scanning the yard like it was a crime scene. One walked around the pool. The other asked, "Why are you out here alone?" "Because it's my pool," Darnell said, holding his voice steady. He started recording with his phone. "Sir, this doesn't have to be difficult," one officer said, taking a step closer. "I didn't make it difficult. You did. I'm sitting on my property. You came here." Their tone hardened. One pulled out a notepad, the other radioed in. Darnell felt the air shift, that familiar tightness, that awareness, that danger. He stood, hands visible. "I'm not a threat, but I do know my rights. This is my property. You have no warrant, no probable cause, and unless I'm under arrest, I don't have to answer your questions." The younger officer, maybe in his late 20s, clenched his jaw. He didn't like being challenged, especially not by a black man standing his ground. He barked, "Sit down, on the ground now." Darnell refused. "I'm not a criminal." The next moment happened fast, too fast. Hands grabbed him, twisted his arms, forced him down on the concrete. His phone fell. The screen cracked. A neighbor yelled from across the fence, "He lives there, I know him. What are you doing?" But it didn't stop them. Cold steel pressed into his wrists. His kids were watching from the upstairs window. His daughter cried. His wife ran outside, screaming, "Let him go. What is wrong with you?" The officers hesitated. One finally checked the address against the license. They uncuffed him. But it was too late. The damage was done. The apology came next, weak, mechanical. "Sorry for the misunderstanding, sir. We were just doing our job." He looked at them, shaking. "Your job is to serve and protect, not assume and attack." This is not just Darnell's story. This is the story of every black man who's been questioned for existing, for being, for breathing, for owning, for standing still. We demand better. Like this video, comment your story, subscribe to join this fight, share so the world sees the truth. Because silence is complicity. Later that week, Darnell filed a complaint. The bodycam footage. Lost. The officers placed on desk duty. The police chief silent. The neighborhood divided. Some neighbors brought food, others avoided eye contact. The local news picked up the story. One outlet called it alleged misconduct. Another called it a misunderstanding. Darnell called it what it was: racial profiling, harassment, a violent intrusion. His children now feared the police. His wife insisted on cameras. Every night felt less safe. This is about more than one family, more than one backyard. This is about how black presence is policed, no matter the zip code. About how fear follows success, how suspicion trails every smile, every rest, every breath. It's about how black joy is seen as a threat, how black property is treated as stolen. Even when the deed is in your name. Even when you built it yourself. Darnell kept speaking. He went on local radio, then national news. He started a podcast. He met with civil rights attorneys, filed a lawsuit. And most of all, he talked to his kids. You have a right to be safe, to be free, to be proud of who you are. Don't ever let anyone take that from you. His voice quivered, but his message was solid. Weeks passed, then one night a cruiser parked outside again. No lights, no knock. Just idling, watching. Darnell watched from behind the curtains, his phone recording, his heart racing. Then came the knock. 3 slow pounds. He opened the door, camera in hand. "Can I help you?" he asked. No response. The officer handed him an envelope. A summons. Internal Affairs was investigating, but so was someone else. Someone had filed a counter-complaint against Darnell, alleging he obstructed police activity. Just when he thought it was over, the system turned on him again. Darnell stood frozen in his doorway, the envelope trembling slightly in his hand. The words on the paper were printed in bold. Summon, obstruction of police investigation. He read it twice, then again his hands grew cold. Who filed this? He looked up, but the officer who had delivered the letter was already gone. The cruiser had vanished, just like that. He shut the door, locked it, and leaned his back against it. His wife stepped into the hallway, her voice low, trembling. "What is it?" Darnell held the letter up, his voice flat. "They're charging me." Her face crumbled. "No, no, they can't, not after what they did to you." But they could, and they were. 3 weeks had passed since the incident by the pool. Darnell had done everything right, filed a complaint, spoken out, shared his story. He hadn't even left the house without checking the porch camera. He hadn't raised his voice. He hadn't been aggressive. And yet here it was, a criminal charge on paper. He sat at the kitchen table, rereading the summons. The accusation was vague. Interfered with officers conducting a lawful investigation. That phrase, lawful. But how was it lawful to tackle a man on his own property? How was it lawful to delete bodycam footage? How was it lawful to lie? Darnell met with his attorney, a civil rights litigator named Mariah Chen. She had already taken on several racially charged cases in the South. Mariah skimmed the summons, then exhaled sharply. "This is retaliation, classic tactic. They couldn't discredit your story, so they're trying to smear you legally." "But how do we fight it?" Darnell asked. "They said the bodycam footage was lost. It's my word against theirs." Mariah tapped her pen. "Not necessarily." She opened her laptop and pulled up a shared drive. "We got a tip yesterday. Anonymous upload. We don't know who sent it, but this might change everything." She clicked play. The video was grainy. The date stamp matched the day of the incident. The first 15 seconds showed Officer Lane approaching the gate. "Got a call about a black male in the yard," the officer muttered to his partner. His partner replied, "Even if he lives here, let's make sure. Never know." Then the footage showed them entering, without knocking. Darnell's voice came clearly, "This is my property." Then came the real shock. After Darnell was cuffed and sat on the ground, Officer Lane whispered, "Shut it off." The screen went black. Mariah leaned back, eyes wide. "They turned it off on purpose. That's a felony." Mariah dug deeper. She ran Officer Lane and his partner, Officer Brackett, through internal affairs databases. What she found, a bombshell. 6 complaints in the last 2 years. 3 involved black residents. 2 alleged unlawful searches. 1 alleged assault of a teenage boy, settled quietly. None led to disciplinary action. All swept under the rug. Mariah looked at Darnell. This isn't just racism, this is systemic cover-up. Days later, a voicemail came from a blocked number. A voice familiar. Darnell, it's Marcus. I can't talk long, I'm not supposed to call you. But you need to know they're building a case. They're trying to bury you. Someone's pushing this hard, higher up than you think. Marcus was an old high school friend of Darnell. He joined the force 5 years ago. Darnell played the message again and again. Who was higher up? Why was a simple backyard incident becoming a full-scale war? The day after the voicemail, Darnell's name appeared on a police union blog. They painted him as hostile, non-compliant, aggressive. They shared a distorted clip of him saying, "I'm not a criminal." They claimed that statement was evidence of paranoia and guilt. The comments were vicious. Thug entitled, just another race baiter. But then, a comment popped up under a fake username. Ask about Lieutenant Foley. He's the reason this is happening. Lieutenant Foley, the name sounded familiar. Mariah pulled his personnel file, decorated, 30 years in the department, but 4 sealed internal investigations. And he was supervising Lane and Brackett the day of the incident. Mariah made a few calls, off the record. One retired officer finally cracked. Foley's the guy you call when you want something handled off the books. He protects his own. If Lane and Brackett are still working, it's because of him. Suddenly, everything made sense. The missing footage. The countercharge. The silence from the department. It wasn't just about race. It was about power. Mariah took the bodycam footage public. Darnell posted it on his podcast. 2.5 million views in 72 hours. Justice for Darnell trended on Twitter. Celebrities shared it. Civil rights groups called for immediate investigation. News crews camped outside the precinct. The mayor issued a statement. Disturbing and unacceptable, a full inquiry is underway. For a moment, it felt like momentum. But then, late at night, Darnell's cameras caught 2 hooded figures on his lawn. They spray-painted "Liar" across his garage. Slashed his tires. Mariah's office was broken into. Only one thing stolen, the external hard drive with backup files. The message was clear. Back down or else. Marcus called again. This time in person. He met Darnell at a quiet diner outside town. Whispered every word. Foley's scared. There's a recording from another case, sealed, but it proves he's covered up worse. If we can get that file, we can blow this open. Darnell leaned in. Where is it? Marcus slid over a name, Officer Rita Velasquez. She used to work internal affairs. She had a copy. But she'd gone dark, quit the force, moved off-grid. They found her in Tennessee, living under a different name. At first, she refused to speak. Said it wasn't worth her life. But after hearing Darnell's story, she changed. She handed Mariah a USB drive, said only one thing. Play this in public, let them burn. The audio was damning. Foley speaking to another officer. If it's on camera, delete it. These people don't need to know what we do. They're not like us. That guy by the pool, handle it. Make it look like a misunderstanding. Mariah went pale. Darnell clenched his fists. This wasn't negligence. It was conspiracy. With mounting pressure, the DA had no choice. Foley, Lane, Brackett, all indicted. Charges: obstruction, tampering, conspiracy, civil rights violations. The police union went silent. The chief resigned. But Darnell's case was still active. They hadn't dropped the charges. The hearing for Darnell's charges became a media circus. Prosecutor offered a deal: plead guilty to misdemeanor, no jail time. Darnell refused. Mariah stood in court, played the body cam, then the audio. Silence in the room. Then gasps. The judge called a recess. Whispers in the hallway. By the afternoon, the case was dropped. Darnell stood outside the courthouse. Cameras flashing, reporters shouting. But he said nothing. He looked into the lens of one camera and said, "This was never just about me. This was about truth, about power, about fear." Then he walked away. But that night, a black SUV followed him home. It parked, idled, then disappeared. A package arrived the next morning. No return address. Inside, a copy of the USB drive and a new note. "There's more, much more. You only saw the beginning." If this story moved you, don't just scroll by. Comment, share, subscribe. Let your voice be louder than their silence. Because we refuse to be invisible. We are watching. To be continued.